4 races, 4 DNFs. 3 of them didn't even survive 1 lap. Yeah, the Norisring has been a cruel mistress this week. If the barriers don't get you, the bumps usually will. Nevertheless, though, I'm back for one final try in low fuel motorsport's Cayman Cup on rFactor 2. Can I complete a race? Can I complete a lap? I'll be starting from row 4, qualifying P7 with a time of 52.4. Now the laps are really quick here. Just look how close it is. There's just 1 second separating 3rd from 9th. Now, T1 at the Norisring is a lottery. It's a 50-50 chance whether we come out alive. So can we survive? Let's get on track and find out. Well, hold on to your hats. This one could get bumpy in more ways than one. We're underway. The Norisring straight away. There's a huge collision in front of us. That's Isan sent into the barrier. Luckily, I had time to lift off the gas and get around. It looks like a couple of cars behind didn't. The yellow flags came out. We're tight into turn 1. We've got through. That's an achievement in itself, surviving the first corner of the Norisring. Now, I did just lift again then. I didn't fancy getting squeezed against the barrier by these 2 drivers battling in front. That's Manuel Gill and Ethan Jacobs. We're going to tuck in behind them. Now, grit your teeth. This is where it gets bumpy. Watch Manuel in front. He's out to the bumpiest part of the track and it causes him to lose control. Hopefully he won't slide into me. He does slide, but it's behind me. I saw him career into the barrier in the rearview mirror. I'm not sure if he took anyone else with him there, but yeah, that is a sign of just how dangerous these bumps are. And speaking of dangerous, what a chaotic start. Now watch the green car on the front row. That's Juan Luis Regana, qualified 2nd, but he moves straight over to the left as soon as the lights go green, and that sends poor Isan into the barrier. Isan rejoins, he's got damage. Oh, and he careers into other drivers. That TV cam really didn't give us a great angle of that incident, but we're now on board with the P5 driver, Pipe Ferrula. He had a much better view of things. Look at Regana swerve right across. Poor Isan had no chance of avoiding that one. Thankfully, we managed to miss him and we managed to get through turn 1, but there was more drama to come when we reached this bumpy part of the track. Manuel Gill hit the worst of it and he came a cropper. Honestly, once these Porsche cars hit those bumps, the bouncing becomes almost uncontrollable. Let's ride on board with Julian Bruins behind me. He moves out to the middle of the track as well. Watch this. The only way that Bruins can save that is to get off the gas, and it's a good job for him that he did, because that's probably what saved him getting taken out by Manuel Gill. Now we've managed to maintain that 8th position over the next couple of laps. We'll return into the live action at the start of lap 3. We're in hot pursuit of Ethan Jacobs in 7th. Julian Bruins just behind, 0.5 of a second back in 9th. Jacobs running in too hot. There's a huge gap. Can we dive through? I might have to leave him space on the inside, or even with leaving him space, we get nudged over towards the wall. Thankfully, we avoided the wall, but that has inflicted some damage. It might cost us a position too, although Broids is out on the bumpy stuff. Oh, we clip that raised curb on the right. It almost sends us into a spin. We're all over the place at the moment. We're in the wrong gear coming out of the corner. I'm in 3rd. We have to shift down to 2nd by the time we do. It's too late. Julian Broids capitalises, moving into 8th. Well, I didn't realise just how close I came to contact in T1 at the start of this 3rd lap. Watch how hot Bruins runs into this turn. It's a good job I didn't make the apex. Had I done, I'd have been taken out for sure. At the next corner, Ethan Jacobs makes a right mess of it, but he comes back onto the racing line, and once again, it's a good job I left space. Even then, I still got a nudge over into the wall. At this point, Julian Bruins carrying a lot more speed, but he's forced to go out onto the bumps. That, of course, costs him his speed. However, I gifted the position anyway when I clipped that curb on the right. I was lucky to save that. Then I'm in the wrong gear coming out of the turn. What a disaster. Lap 4 then, hard onto the brakes into turn 1. We've got to do everything we can to try and stick with these 2 guys in front. Now Ethan Jacobs in 7th, a little bit wide into T1 there. Julian Bruins wasn't able to capitalise though. However, he is all over the rear of that red Porsche into the chicane. Oh, there's contact! Ethan Jacobs gets spun out into the wall. Royds manages to keep it facing the right direction, but he's down on power. He's out onto the bumpy part of the track now. Will stay tight to get the smoother line. But yeah, that incident has promoted us up into 8th position, and it's got us a heck of a lot closer to 7th as well. Let's check out the replay. Now, we saw Jacob get this section wrong a couple of laps ago, and I don't know if he's done it again, and that's what's caught Bruins out. Let's ride on board with Bruins. And yeah, it looks like Jacobs was unsettled by some more of those bumps going into the corner. That cost him mid-corner speed, and it was too late for Bruins to slow down. Meanwhile, back to the live action. Start of lap 5. Bruins runs in way too high to T1. This is an opportunity for us to tuck it up the inside. We just can't get on that gas quickly enough on exit. That tight line really cost us some speed there. But I tell you what, Bruins has lost all of his rhythm after that mistake. He is all over the place. He bounces off the wall. This is our chance to strike, but it does mean we've got to hit the bumpy part of the road. I'm holding on tight, doing everything I can to keep this car facing in the right direction. Have I done enough to make the overtake? We reach the apex first. It's a textbook pass into the final turn. We're up to 7th. Bruins down to 8th, but will Bruins fire right back because he's carrying extra speed? Our tighter entry into that turn came at the expense of exit speed. Bruins has got a bit of a toe as well. However, it looks like he's backing off. He doesn't fancy a dive up the inside into turn 1. I'm going to leave him a bit of space anyway. More to protect myself than anything. It does allow him to get alongside momentarily. We were side by side, but we've got the grunt to stay in front. Yeah, I wasn't keen on the idea about going out onto that bumpy part of the track, I can tell you that, but it was our only chance to get past Julian Bruins. He bounced off the wall there. That gave us the speed that we needed. Hold on tight over the bumps and then maintain this inside line into the final turn. Yeah, as I said in the live commentary, it's a textbook Norisring pass. Back to the live action. Start of lap 7. We're still in 7th position. 0.5 of a second gap back to Bruins, although that might come down now because we light up the rear coming out of that turn, and the yellow flags are out in front. We've lost a driver in the chicane, and it's Onion Illich who was in 5th position. That spooked me a little bit, I've got to admit. It's just got me the slightest bit offline. We grazed the wall. It's given us some pretty hefty damage by the looks of it. Bruins is alongside us now. Oh, we're going to clip that raised curb as well. Any hopes that we had of holding on to that 6th position were just dashed there by that raised curb. We're down to 7th. Well, there are brutal bumps all around this circuit, and it was another one of them that caught out Illich here, causing him to slide into the barrier. Now, that flustered me, and I took this chicane a gear higher than I normally would. The extra speed carried me into the wall, gave me some damage, and gave Bruins the chance to strike. Well, by the end of the 8th lap, we've lost a bit of ground on Bruins. He's 1.1 seconds clear, and we've also got company behind. Joris Sheepfart is close to within 0.4 of a second, but we do gain one position. There's a stricken car on track to the left. And yeah, that was Bill Vuter, who picked up some damage on the previous lap while locked in a fight for 4th position with Franz Allersdorfer. He takes a little nudge there and gets squeezed into the barrier, but the majority of the damage would have come here. He slides into the barrier after yet more contact from Allersdorfer. And if you're wondering how hard these Porsches are to drive with a bit of damage, check out the onboard. This is the wreck on the start and finish straight. That car just does not want to go in a straight line. It's a spectacular crash. We're jumping forward to the end of lap 19 now. I've just about given up on the hope of keeping up with Julian Bruins. He's a couple of seconds clear now, so instead I'm concentrating on trying to hold off Joris Sheepfart. However, there's a back marker alert. That is Jacobs. We were battling with Ethan Jacobs in the early part of this race. Now I hang it out wide around the final turn just to make sure there's enough room for Jacobs there. He was easing off though to let us by, and luckily for us, he's rejoined in front of Sheepfart. So now we've got a back marker in between us and Sheepfart. That might give us a little bit of breathing room. Well, we've crossed the line to start lap 20. I suspect only 3 more to go after this one, so we're looking good for a top 6 here. A top 5, maybe a little bit beyond us, but don't rule it out because there's a yellow flag out. There are pieces of Porsche scattered over this track, and we are indeed up into 5th position. Well, it was the pole position man, Stavros Sarakas, who we lost. He was running 2nd in the race, chasing the leader, Juan Luis Regana, there, when he broke too hard, lost control and slid into the barrier. That gave him some damage, and as we've seen already, these cars just can't be driven on damage. He crashes out. Back to the live action at the start of lap 22, and unfortunately I'm going to get a little bit spooked by a back marker. That's Bill Voot in front. Now watch him slide into the barrier here on braking. He runs out wide at T1, but he's going to rejoin. I see it coming, so I try a tighter apex than I was planning, and I just clip the curb. It unsettles the car, and it lets Joris Sheepvart dive through. Yeah, really frustrating mistake this one. Watch Bill Vart at the front of the screen. There he is running off track. It just panicked me when I saw him rejoin. The last thing I wanted was contact, but from the replay there was loads of space. I just overreacted. So I've got one lap to try and rescue a top 5 finish. We're 0.6 of a second behind Sheepvart. Make that 0.8 as we get in a little bit ragged coming out of T1. The damage to the right hand side of the car is really hampering our performance, as are the red hot tyres, but we're going to give it everything we can here. We're right on the tail of Sheepvart now. We got a great run through that section, but we've just not got that power left to stick with him. Look at him open up the extra tenth or two down this back straight. One more opportunity into the final turn. As long as he holds his line, he's going to have 5th position. He does hold his line. We almost lose the rear coming out. That's it. Julian Broids is going to get 4th position. Joris Sheepvart in 5th. We are going to cross the line, taking the checkered flag in 6th. Well, after 4 DNFs in this race this week, I was just grateful to finish. I didn't mind where, so I'm really happy to get a top 6. And even more importantly, it's given our safety rating a much needed boost. All those DNFs has cost me nearly 2.5 in safety rating, so it was vital that we stopped that decline today. Well, I hope you've enjoyed my return to rFactor 2. Please do let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like if you've enjoyed watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you on the grid again for the next one. Cheers for now.